and Dirty, Season 2, Episode 7, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, has been released early. It is logical for you to watch it.
What the fuck? What the fuck? So, I just went on TikTok and I saw that they've released an episode of Star Trek early. This is the review for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 7, Those Old Scientists. And click subscribe and edit and write down. I was flabbergasted. Let's take a look. So this episode begins in animation with the Lower Decks crew going down to a planet and going onto a portal. Then we get a brilliant Boimler goes through, meets our crew from Strange New Worlds, and is just fanboying it up. It was just amazing entrance, and he does things and speaks to people about the timeline, and he's typical Boimler. He just sort of puts his foot in it all the time, and it was really, really good. They bring up how the NX-01 class is made out of a certain type of metal, and then Boimler goes through and he fucks everything up essentially, and then Mariner comes through when they try to send him back, so they still can't get back. And ultimately they use a piece of the NX-01 for them two to get back. That's the basic overall storyline. What we have here is just, this was the best episode of the season. Best episode, hands down. We had Boimler fanboying over Captain Christopher Pike and Una and everyone else, and we had, even Mariner gets in on it. We had an amazing animated intro. So the Strange New Worlds intro was animated like Lower Decks. We had that big slug thing sucking on the nacelle, which I giggled at when I saw it. It was just a really, really, really good episode. Captain Pike gets a joy out of hearing the reverence that Boimler has for him, and he mentions that he feels that it feels like there's more to him than his death at the hands of the radiation and saving the cadets. Una's sort of worried because Boimler's really shy around her. La'an sort of gives him advice because she's done time travel. There was a lot of relevant and amazing little key points. Boimler being freaked out at Spock smiling because obviously Spock is getting laid and apparently that causes him to smile. And Boimler's just like, whoa. And to be fair, Spock with the weird, with the eyebrow makeup and obviously the ear makeup, when he smiles, Ethan Peck looks weird. When he does it with his normal thing like we saw in the episode where he's human, handsome as fuck. Mariner brings up that Spock is hot when he was young. It says, yes, hot Spock. And I really loved that because it's true. Ethan Peck is the hottest of the Spocks. I really loved everything about this episode. The references to the Enterprise NX-01, bringing up Hoshi, bringing up Travis Mayweather. Travis Mayweather and Hoshi, the two characters who got the least character time on Star Trek Enterprise, got a call out in this show. I honestly thought that they were going to go to the NX-01. I think I probably would have shat myself. It was a really brilliant and amazing sort of list of references and everything that was going on. They talk about sort of the history and the legacy. We find out that Una is the poster girl for Starfleet recruitment, and she has Ad Astra Aspera on her poster, and Boimler looked at that to join Starfleet, and he's just nervous about talking to her. We have a great moment where Boimler talks to Chapel about Spock shouldn't be this emotional. He's never like this. In the original series, the original pilot, Spock smiled. So we know that it's an interesting sort of dynamic. We obviously got Orions who steal the portal, and then they got to get it back. They trade with the Orions, and we find out that Tendi has an ancestor on the Orion ship. At the beginning of the episode, at the end of the episode, they go, we can say the Orions discovered this. Science vessel Orions. And the Orions sort of like, they're not going to treat me like pirates. And that's all he needed, is a recognition that he's a good person, he's a scientist. And that was brilliant. This episode was so lighthearted and enjoyable and fun. I was genuinely really, really excited by this. I want nothing more than episodes with this much heart and charm. We had Pelia talking to Boimler, and Boimler feels responsible for all of the bad stuff that's going on. Some just amazing character moments. Boimler steps on the Enterprise bridge and fangirls, and it was a nice mix between the comedy of Lower Decks and sort of Strange New Worlds. And they talk about how everyone here talks slower and softer because Lower Decks is obviously a cartoon. It's much more animated, and they talk louder. And just really, really great moments throughout this episode. Anson Mount, the whole way through, is playing this, I need to be serious, but I love that they love me. And I think that's beautiful. And it's a weird thing, because there's a scene where they're talking about Hoshi and Travis, where they're fangirling, oh, we're like them. And what they're also commenting on is how people look to the past and they fanboy over things from their past and they get all nostalgic about it. And I just loved every minute of this episode. I feel like Star Trek Enterprise doesn't get the respect it deserves. It's a bit odd that they just constantly, it's referenced but never put there. And it would have been really, really nice if we maybe had T'Pol pop up, but they're talking about Hoshi and Travis, and talking about the NX-01, and talking about how there's a piece of each Enterprise in the previous Enterprise in the new Enterprises. I love the bit where Boimler goes, the NCC 1701 dash, and then La'an goes, what comes after dash? And it's a really entertaining and interesting moment to see so much reverence given to these beautiful characters and to the characters of the past. And it wasn't too nostalgia baity. A lot of the episode was just about having fun. And we don't often get a time travel episode where they're just playing it for entertainment. There's no dark story. There's no something's gone wrong story. It's sort of just Boimler comes back. He keeps oversharing, but they manage to get him back and everything's okay. There was not a lot of tension in this episode. It was all about just the fun of the ride. And that's kind of Lower Decks' style, but putting it in a Strange New Worlds place makes it really, really exciting. The ending where the Strange New Worlds cast is animated, looks really good. They're all drinking the drink, and you find out the reason it looks animated is because they've been drinking this drink that Mariner introduced. Spock does a wiggly arm thing. I thought that was really funny. They end up getting back home, and they talk about Una, and they talk about all of this stuff. You find out Mariner wanted to go on this mission because it really excited her. She wanted to do this for Boimler. So there was an emotional poignancy to the Lower Deck stuff as well as the Star Trek Strange New Worlds stuff. It was hands down best episode of the season. I don't know why. I don't know why it's this episode. I get it's two shows joining together. We had that in Star Trek TNG with Deep Space Nine characters, but this felt like truly it was Boimler's story, and then it was very much the story of these characters. Beckett, Mariner getting excited over meeting Uhura and finding out Uhura is a bit of a worker bee, and then teaching her that you need to take time out in order to move forward. Ortega's was really good this episode. She's just sort of a good character. We find out that she's a war hero. We find out that M'Benga's there, and M'Benga, he's not in it much, but it's entertaining when he is. Overall, hands down my favourite episode of the season so far. Really, really good and really, really enjoyable. I just hope that the musical episode that they're going to do doesn't ruin anything. I've been Trek Trav. This has been a surprise review. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Come back for more on Trek Trav.